backs to the wall and no tomorrow for them.
And you have the different philosophies coming into this game from each camp. Creighton saying, hey, we're playing a big series here. Wichita hoping that the steam was taken out of the Blue Jays a little bit by losing that first game late yesterday afternoon.
Well, Brian Fossbender is starting for the Blue Jays today. He's got an ERA of 4.52. He's 4-5 on the year. He's facing the Shockers leadoff batter Richie Taylor, center fielder. We'll get you caught up as soon as we can. There's a pitch way inside, and Taylor walks to start off the ball game. Taylor in center field. Now up is Jason Adams, a shortstop. He'll be followed by right fielder Carl Hall. John Gulick, the first baseman, will be batting cleanup. Joey Jackson out at second base. Casey Davis in left. Casey Blake at third. The DH is Jason Ficken, and Nathan Reese, the catcher, will bat ninth. And Terry will go over the defensive lineup for the Blue Jays for you in just a moment. Righty against righty. Try to keep the runner Taylor close at first base.
Fossbender's battery mate is Mike Mahoney, catching for the Blue Jays at first base. Mike McCabe second. John Dunlop also up the middle for the Blue Jays, and a real strength of this team, Torri, is Tyson Kim being at shortstop. So Kim and Dunlop, it'll be really fun to watch them against the Shockers. At third base, Dan Howe. Left field, Stick. Myers at center.
As we see a base hit on the left field as the runner was going, but because it was hit sharply in the left, Taylor has to stop at second base, so the Shockers have runners first and second, and there's no outs. That'll bring up Carl Hall. He comes in batting at .359, the number 3 hitter.
Chris Piggott is also in right field. Fossbender using the fastball, good curve according to the Creighton coaches coming into this season. They were playing Adams straight away on that one, and he was able to get it past Kim, who had to inch a little bit towards second, Torri.
Dan Howe over at third base is even with the bag now. He's up on the grass as Hall turns around to bunt and then lets it go. That pitch got away from Mahoney. He fell right between his legs, and he kind of got lost, didn't know where it was.
On that ground ball, Kim having to move shade towards second base because Wichita very well known Gene Stevenson for a running game, and what a great situation for them to start this one off, getting your leadoff people on right away. No outs.
Well, Taylor, an excellent leadoff hitter. He gives you that dimension as that pitch is outside for ball 2. 2-0 now the count to the batter Hall, but Taylor 11 stolen base attempts, and he's made it 10 times. So he gives you that element. He was running on the base hit by Adams. Now Howe relaxes back down at third. He's behind the bag, but he's toward the line. Here comes the 2-0 pitch. There's bunt. Third base line. It's a good one. It's going to be a tough play to get him. Everybody's safe. Bases loaded with Shockers right away in the top of the first inning, and they're doing everything they need to jump out early.
Well, tough situation for Fossbender right off the bat when you get in a situation where you're behind 2 balls and no strikes, and what a perfect bunt. And Gene Stevenson going to the running game set up perfectly in a real bad situation for Creighton and Brian Fossbender right here.
Cleanup hitter at first base, John Gulick, .358. He does not lead the team in home runs, though, coming out of the cleanup spot. He only has 2. He has 25 RBIs, and that also does not lead the club. The RBI leader on the Shockers is on deck, Joey Jackson. So Fossbender already finds himself in a hole. The bags are full of Shockers. There's no outs, and he's facing a left-handed hitter. Howe up on the grass down at third. Pitch on the outside part of the plate for a strike, 0-1. That was a big pitch for Fossbender. I think we're in a situation, Terry, where it's really gotten to the point where the Blue Jays are going to have to win each pitch, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and right off the bat in the first inning, he needed to get that fastball over. He had good location just to get ahead and look for a ground ball.
Fossbender high and outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, for the first time in a long time since Terry and I have been doing baseball on over Cox Cable, we can't say, what a great day for a ball game. It is chilly, it's overcast, the wind is coming right in from center field. It's got to be tough on pitchers. You know, you get in a situation like this as the count now runs to 2-1. John Gulick. Bases loaded with Wichita State Shockers. Taylor at third, Adams at second, Hall at first. A walk, a single to the left, and a bunt single. That one fouled back along third base side.
now coming in from third a little bit. McCabe doing the same thing at first base. Remember, you're operating with no outs, and that time the batter's swinging away as that comes in, so that will keep the corners a little bit honest on the Creighton defense.
Here's the pitch. Hit toward first, stabbed. They're going to go to home for the force out. They got one. Relay to first. Nice backup play by Dunlop. That throw was off the line, but he stopped the run from coming in. That ball gets past him, and Wichita State's on the scoreboard.
Just exactly what Fossbender needed, a ground ball, tough double play to turn like that. At least they were able to keep the run off the board, and there's Dunlop coming across. Wasn't able to get into position, but remember, Jack Dahm choosing to charge the corners there. It paid off to get the out at the plate with McCabe, but Dunlop lucky to get over there.
So the base is still loaded as Gulick's on first with a fielder's choice, and Fossbender now will face the number 5 batter, second baseman Joey Jackson. He comes into this game batting .364, a couple of home runs and 42 runs batted in, and already he's ahead of the count 1-0. Gene Stevenson down at third base coaching box. Boy, Stevenson has been at Wichita for quite a while. Ground ball shortstop Kim to second for one. Dunlop's relay. They got it.
Beautiful.
4-6-3 double play. In the first 3 Wichita State hitters get on base, and there are no runs scored. So we played this first half inning. No runs, a couple of hits, no Creighton errors, and it's Wichita State nothing. Creighton coming to bat. Terry?
One of the strengths of this Creighton team is that double play combination, and Kim to Dunlop, the infield doing the job there. Good defense by Creighton, and a real tough nut to crack there when you're getting in a situation where you're putting those 3 guys on base right away, Torri. And you notice that Fossbender and that defense coming back to the dugout, those Creighton players getting a big lift, running out on the field to greet that defense coming off. And exactly what Fossbender needed in that situation, the ground ball. He was able to get 2 of them to get the job done.
Well, you're seeing entertainment in between innings. If you go over to the complex, you'll see this young man do his thing. He probably doesn't want to be compared to Max Patkin because that's a pretty lofty comparison, but the kid does his thing, does it well.
Very similar act. I thought you hired the entertainment here today.
Not me.
Oh.
That was your job.
Well, it looks like the Creighton Athletic Department did fine.
Let's take a look at how the Blue Jays are going to be here in the bottom of the first inning. Tyson Kim will lead off. Of course, he's at shortstop. He'll be followed by the second baseman, John Dunlop. Mike Stick in left field will bat third. A.J. Walking off the DH as a cleanup. First baseman Mike McCabe will bat fifth. The number 6 hitter in right field, Chris Pickett. Catcher Mike Mahoney will bat 7th. Dan Howe at third base will bat 8th. And the center fielder, Chad Myers, will bat 9th. Chad Heebner's nursing a sensitive hamstring. So he's only eligible today really for some pinch hitting duties as Kim takes the first pitch for a ball.
Nathan Reese catching for Wichita. Gulick at first base. Joey Jackson at second. Jason Adams is the third baseman for the Shocker, or I should say the shortstop for the Shockers today. Casey Blake at third. Davis in left. Taylor the center fielder, and Carl Hall in right field. Great team. One of the top 5 in the country.
Well, Brandon Baird comes in with an 8-0 record. He's got an ERA of 1.90 in 71 innings. Struck out 63, and he's walked 21, so his ratios are well on the positive side. 1 ball, 1 strike after that foul ball off to the right side. Here's the pitch. Tyson takes a call strike. John Dunlop on deck. A lot of room in the outfield. It appears the left and right fielders steps toward the line either way, while out in center field, Taylor is straight away. Fouled on the third base side past Creighton's first-year head coach, Jack Dahm. Jack, one of many in a long line of Creighton baseballers through the recent years. Since, at least we'd have to say, since Jim Hendry was head coach. And the Blue Jays putting together a competitive, nationally competitive baseball program.
And they've had a great rivalry with Wichita through that Hendry era, through Todd Wenberg and now Jack Dahm.
That pitch way outside. That'll leave him the count of 2 balls and 2 strikes to Tyson Kibb, who came in batting at .342. He has 1 home run and 29 runs batted in.
Work him, pitch, work him.
Over but low. That'll fill it up. Blake is really toward the line down at third base.
You're in trouble.
Let's see what Baird does with that defensive set.
Pops it up right side, long run. Who's going to get it? Jackson in foul territory, and he dropped the ball. Just overran that one. I don't know if he, a lot of times a sky like this can cause problems too. You don't know if the wind might have had something to do with it. That was a long run for a second baseman. But as we know at this level,
veteran second baseman, it's his play. He has the angle coming from second base into foul territory. I thought he had it. I thought the out would be recorded, but a break for Creighton.
Does that mean you got to erase in your scorebook now that you had to foul out to second base? You got to change it again. Full count still to Kim, the leadoff batter for the Blue Jays here in the bottom of the first inning, no score.
Using ballpoint pen, Torri.
It's Baird's pitch again off the fist behind us, and it's going to be on the roof here at Rosenblatt Stadium. Glad you could be with us on O2 TV, Cox Cable Omaha. Torri Pantaleon along with Terry Leahy. It's been a long time since we've been in this booth together, huh?
It has. We've had some great games here.
Much to the delight of many fans out there. It's been a long time since we've been together. Full count. Well, we could reminisce, but we better not, huh? 3-2 pitch to Kim again. Fouled it. Well, he's got a real quality at bat going, Terry. I mean, if anything, you're going to make your opposing pitcher throw a lot of pitches early.
And try and pitch backward in the mind of Baird, and guess what he's going to come with here. 3-2. Let's see if he thinks a breaking pitch at all. It'll be gutsy.
Oh, ball 4. So both leadoff hitters this game have walked. And that brings up John Dunlap, Blue Jay second baseman. He's batting .323 with 7 home runs, 34 runs batted in. On deck is Mike Stick, the Omaha Burke standout athlete. Now the Blue Jays have an opportunity to do something, and I'll tell you, the way they finished that first top of the first inning, it had to give them, as you talked about, a little bit of motivation here. They'll hold Kim on. Baird's pitch inside, popped up off the fist, left side. Who wants it? Adams at shortstop. 1 out. So Jack Dahm not pulling the string on his hitters. They're aggressive right away.
Runner got the jump at first. He tried to go that route, but didn't play for the 1 run. Playing for the big inning a little bit.
Mike Stick comes in with a .280 average, but he does have 7 home runs and 31 runs batted in. He is a tough kid. It's surprising that a kid with his abilities, he could have pretty much chosen anything he wanted to do out of high school, and he chose baseball. But I remember him returning a punt for Burke his senior year, and it was just an incredible punt return. Hot shot, hits the umpire. It hit the umpire before it got past the infielders. So what's going to happen is they're going to have to bring the runner, Kim, back to second base. And the umpire is part of the field. It's just unfortunate that had to happen for Wichita State. But if you're a Creighton fan, that's good, because that was a potential double play ball.
Creighton swinging for the big inning, as we said, Torri. Great contact made on this pitch. And kind of a break there, because Adams was moving across into position. Of course, it was just the action of redirecting that one.
Well,
Stay low.
Runners now at first and second with 1 out, and that brings up the cleanup hitter, DH A.J. Walkenoff. He's batting .348, has 8 round trippers and 36 ribbies. And now Reese and Baird want to talk a little bit. On the relay back to the infield after that play, Adams threw the ball to Baird, and it hit him in the hip. So, I mean, it seemed like everything was off just a little bit that entire play.
Everything was off kilter there. Reese and Baird talking here because 1 out, trying to see what Creighton will do with the 2 runners, what the strategy will be. You have to have the defense set for the pitch.
Took a little bit off that one. Up the line. That's fair. That's a fair ball just off the third baseman's glove. That'll get one run in, or what are they calling now? Oh, the home plate umpire says that was a foul ball.
Ooh. See if we can get a look at that one. And Jack Dom obviously calling it fair right away. Jack has a few words with the home plate umpire. I thought it was fair.
I see. Well, you know, originally I looked at the home plate umpire and he held both hands up as if this, and that's a signal that, well, that's a foul ball, but he didn't signal foul. That's tough from here. But I'll tell you, from watching the live play, I felt the ball went over the bag.
That's what I thought.
And that means it's fair.
Jack immediate. Well, he'd have to do that anyway. Coaching third base, he was moving his runner right through there on a ball hit at that velocity.
So that'll be a strike. No balls and a strike. Everybody's back to where they were. Runners at first and second, walking off the batter. Mike McCabe is on deck.
Stay loose, 23. Stay loose. You can hit this guy.
That pitch gets by Reese, and the runners will move up. And they're going to charge a wild pitch to Baird.
Creighton still getting a break there. The breaking pitch that got away, Reese wasn't able to get down on it, move across to get in front of it, try and turn that glove over. He tried. Did that hit the ground?
Not originally. I thought it hit his glove and then bounced away.
Tough pitch, and now it is called a pass ball.
They did change it.
A wild pitch, usually automatically a wild pitch if it bounces in front of the catcher. That was a tough one, though, for Reese to handle.
So that puts runners at second and third. 1-1 to count the walking off. And again, Reese having trouble handling that pitch from Baird. You know, I'm not sure, but Baird seems to have lost a little composure since that ground ball hit the umpire. I mean, it seems like,
yeah.
You know, it seems like it's really upset him because that was hit hard enough to definitely be at least a potential double play. Here's the pitch, foul off right side.
Well, I think it's with this kind of a pitching staff. I know Gene Stevenson wishing that all the games could be played here at Rosenblatt. With the staff he has, which is outstanding, he probably likes the idea of being on natural surface and pitchers throwing that low into the strike zone. That's an advantage to Creighton up on the campus with the artificial turf.
Line drive, foul on right field line. Count remains 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, you know, Coach Stevenson, he knows Rosenblatt Stadium very, very well, as we here who follow the College World Series know. And you're not going to say that he would have a field advantage over someone else who doesn't play here that much, but there's no question, Terry, he does know this ballpark very well. And he always likes to come to Omaha in June. 2-2 the count. Kim at third, Stick at second, walking off. Here's the offering from Baird. Took a little bit off that one. He rips into left field. That'll score 1 run. They're going to have to hold the other runner at third base, and the Blue Jays lead 1-0. After the way this game started, you might have been thinking, oh no. But it's the Blue Jays now who've drawn first blood.
I was thinking on 2-2 that he may come in with his best pitch, a fastball, but he went with the curve, had a lot of guts to go on a 2-2 pitch with the breaking one, and a great job of hitting, guessing that way, and he got it up into the strike zone.
So that puts Blue Jays at first and third now, and Mike McCabe, the left-hander, first baseman, is up. He's batting .289. He has 16 runs batted in. They're going to hold walking off at first. Here's the pitch. It's high. So the Blue Jays doing damage early. And the Shockers were hoping they could do the same thing, especially when they loaded the bases with no outs in the top of this inning and came away empty. Pitch is inside.
Kind of a nice situation for Creighton, too, to have McCabe up there hitting left-handed. Gulick is holding, walking off at first. And it leaves quite a bit of room on the right side of the infield. And there was Baird coming inside on the last one.
That pitch is over but low, so now he runs to 3-0 on McCabe. The Shockers need 1 win, either today or tomorrow, and they win the Missouri Valley Conference again. There's a call strike. I guess it's gotten to the point, at least for Wichita State, if you say Wichita State in Missouri Valley Conference title, it's almost redundant anymore.
Yeah, that would be a record 8th straight regular season title for them.
3-1 to count to McCabe. Right back up the middle. This could be tough. No, nice play by the second baseman, and he converts it to a 4-3 double play. Oh, actually, Baird, I don't know if Baird might get an assist on the official scoring on that or not. But regardless, that's going to do it. And the Blue Jays left one. The Blue Jays lead it 1-0.
Car has finally grown up. Introducing the Volvo 850 Sports Wagon.
For a gorgeous ride and a gorgeous deal, come to Mike Gorgeous Pontiac Volvo GMC, 65th and L.
These days, cocooning, creating a nest around one's home, has become a social phenomenon due to Music Choice, the new music service that comes into your stereo through cable. Take a look inside as people gyrate and emote to 30 different music choices, commercial free, from rock to classical with CD quality sound. So get wild! Have fun with Music Choice, cable for your stereo.
Welcome back to Rosenblatt Stadium. Creighton leading Wichita State 1-0. As the Shockers will send up Casey Davis, Casey Blake, and Jason Ficken here in the top of the second inning. Davis tries to bunt, it goes foul. The Shockers loaded the bases. Their first 3 hitters got on base last inning, and they didn't score. Force out at home, and then a 4-6-3 double play, and Brian Fossbender found himself out of what could have been a really nasty inning. Dan Howe up on the grass down at third base. 0-1 pitch to Davis. One hopper up the middle, and he's got a base hit. And that is the 3rd hit of the ball game for Wichita State.
Now both teams making real good contact. Even on the double play that ended the last inning, for Creighton, the ball was hit pretty well. And when you consider the staff Wichita has, it's good news to get off to a start stinging it that way. But Fossbender has to settle in a little bit, get better location himself.
Davis has 9 stolen bases in 11 attempts. So McCabe will hold him over at first. Howe near the grass. Now he's on the grass at third as Blake steps in. Blake comes in hitting a .305. He has 3 home runs and 36 runs batted in. There's a bit of a gap in right center field as Piggott is close to the line at right. 0-1 the count to Blake. Davis takes off on a hit and run, and it's foul to the right side. 0-2 the count now.
Well, Blake that time obviously trying to go behind the runner. McCabe holding Davis at first base, and as Torri said, they're shading Blake, playing him to pull. A lot of room on the right side, a lot of room in that right field gap, the gap between center and the right fielder.
Fossbender way up on the count now, 0-2. Ficken is the on-deck hitter for the Shockers. Here's the pitch way outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Same 2 teams will play tomorrow. But as we said, the Shockers just need to win one of these games either today or tomorrow, and they get the regular season title. 1-2 pitch, ground ball second base. There's 1. 4-6-3. Oh, they make it look so easy, don't they?
Pitcher's best friend.
And he has 2 of those so far from his infield.
This is a great double play combination. Dunlop to Kim and across to McCabe. The strength down the middle, and then those 2 guys have had great careers on the hilltop.
You know, and we've talked about this before too, Terry, as Jason Ficken steps in. Fastball misses outside. That when you have that kind of defense behind you, your pitcher has that added confidence. You know, he knows he's got the fielders behind him, and there's certain situations you might not see normal that would happen. That one's going to be a tough play. Ooh. Relay's over there, but it's off the mark, and the runner will hold. That was a high bounder right over the mound. Dunlop doing a good job to get to it, but throwing across your body sometimes is not going to be the best thing you can do. Fortunately, it didn't hurt the Blue Jays.
Thankfully, that ball going up against the retaining wall, not into the dugout, and Mahoney doing a good job, of course, getting down there as the catcher backing up the first baseman. It was a tough chance.
So Ficken is on with an infield single. There's 2 outs, and that brings up the number 9 hitter, catcher Nathan Reese, with a .289 average, 3 home runs, and 22 runs batted in. Batting from the right side, and takes a ball as they are holding Ficken down at first base. Richie Taylor, the leadoff hitter for the Shockers, is on deck.
Stay with him. Stay with him.
And the pitch. Hit to the left side. Should be an easy force play, and that's what they do. Kim to Dunlop to end the top of the second inning. So Ficken is retired 6-4. Give Reese a fielder's choice. No runs, a couple of hits. No errors, and they left 1, and after 1.5, the Blue Jays own a 1-0 lead here at Rosenblatt Stadium.
You know, we were talking about the games we've done, you and I have done in the past here on Cox Cable, and we did have a Wichita Creighton game on a worse day than this, if I remember right.
Oh, yeah, because I remember it was like almost rain, almost snow type situation.
Yeah,
it was nasty.
It was a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. And I think that would have been 1984, Torri, when you think back to what's happened to these programs since then. Now, Wichita had been in the World Series, and Gene Stevenson had certainly established his team as a power, but Jim Hendry was starting to get things rolling at Creighton. Creighton kind of going along with some solid ball clubs, and then it just took off for him in the 80s as the 80s rolled on, and of course culminated in this stadium in the greatest baseball game I've ever witnessed personally. It was the Creighton-Wichita game, their first matchup in the World Series.
College World Series.
Brilliant night.
Thing went to extra innings, and it had been a long day for a lot of people, but man, I'll tell you, and it really, and you know, and that came along at a time when I think the College World Series needed a boost in this city. Not that the fans weren't, the local people were not supporting it, but I just from a national perspective. And the people came out. I remember seeing a lot of the basketball players here that night just cheer. Bobby Harstad, I remember seeing him on ESPN a couple times. He had his shirt off, his hat was on backwards, he was twirling his shirt in the air. I mean, it was just incredible. So we go to the bottom of the second inning here at Rosenblatt Stadium. The right fielder Chris Pickett steps in to lead it off for the Blue Jays. He's batting .368, 4 home runs and 29 runs batted in. He'll be followed by Mike Mahoney and Dan Howe. And if they get that far, Chad Myers, and that'll be one time through the Blue Jay lineup. Blue Jays with a 1-0 lead here over Wichita State. Baird's first pitch, but it foul.
Pickett with an open stance. Has that right leg back behind him quite a ways. And the defense playing him straight away. That kind of a stance certainly would help him with the inside stuff.
Left-handed Baird has yet to lose a game in 8 decisions. That one smacked straight away center. Taylor back toward the gap though now and left, and he makes the catch. Not a major factor, but I think the little swirling breeze we do have might have contributed a little bit to holding that up. But Taylor's a good ball player anyway. But so there's one down here in the bottom of the second. And that'll bring up Mike Mahoney. Mahoney batting .327 with 3 home runs and 22 runs batted in. Right-hander facing the left-handed Baird.
You were talking about Taylor, and that was a routine play, but a routine play for him in center field. And you could see his experience, just the way he was able to go back on that.
It's another shot line up the middle into center field, and this time Taylor has to come in to make the grab. So the Blue Jays are hitting it right on the money. They're just hitting it right at Taylor. The number 8 hitter in the Creighton lineup, Dan Howe, the third baseman. He's batting .323, has 5 home runs and 22 runs batted in. Takes a strike. 2 down here in the bottom of the second with the Blue Jays owning a 1-0 lead.
Gene Stevenson worrying a little bit about the contact that the Creighton hitters are making against Baird. When you start, even when you have the fly ball outs, you start seeing a line drive like the one Mahoney sent to center field. That's a concern early in the game for a coach.
Inside low.
But Baird really battles to keep the ball low in that strike zone. And that's kind of a good situation to be in unless you have overpowering stuff.
Hit the third. And we're out of the second inning as Blake throws him out. Blue Jays go down in order here in the bottom of the second inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left after 2. Creighton still leads Wichita State 1-0.
An association of dedicated financial professionals and one of America's strongest life insurance companies team up to offer you a unique and rewarding career opportunity.
Leading off for the Shockers here in the top of the third, Richie Taylor, who walked to start the game. He ended up being forced out at home before a ground ball double play got the Shockers out of the first inning. They loaded the bases, no outs, didn't score. Fossbender now behind on the count 2-0 to Taylor. And a pitch. Outside.
Pretty nice pitch, 0-2.
Sure.
Getting those early, quick 2 strikes on Taylor allowed Howe to back up at third. He has to honor Taylor's ability to bunt.
Well, that pitch got away from Fossbender. It bounced just past the skin where the grass and dirt meet in front of home plate.
Yeah, Howe at the beginning of this sequence, when Fossbender started working to Taylor, had to come in on the grass, and now he's pretty much even with the bag at third.
Got him on an outside pitch. And that's the first strikeout of the ball game for anybody. Call strike 3, and Taylor's down on strikes. Now, he struck out 3 times last night, and that was in that fateful ninth that they elected to intentionally walk him.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great, obviously a great pitch and a confidence builder.
That brings up Jason Adams. Fossbender starts him off with a strike. That's the first strikeout of the ball game, as we said. And Adams singled his first time up. The pitch misses.
He is picking up some good location here, starting with Taylor and now working against Adams.
Carefully, work carefully. Take a breath.
Oh, nice defensive play by the pitcher, Fossbender. 2 outs. That was quick.
Well, Brian gets the called strike against Richie Taylor, and then he gets that quick out against Adams. When he got that called strike on the nice pitch against Taylor, you could just see him turn and walk towards center field with a lot of confidence. He needed that badly.
Carl Hall starts him off with a strike. Hall bunted for a base hit, which loaded the bases in the first inning for Wichita State. 0-1 pitch. Ground ball to shortstop. Kim. Clean play. Oh, nice play at first base by McCabe as the throw was low. But so the Shockers go down in order. In the top of the third, no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. We played 2.5 here at Rosenblatt. And the Blue Jays holding on to a 1-0 lead over 3rd and 5th ranked Wichita State. I always find that, well, there's the final out, Terry.
Look how well Kim stays down. just in the chances he's had in this game, you can see fundamentally he does such a great job at shortstop. If you're low enough, the baseball, you can always bring yourself up the play one.
Right.
But it's tougher to go down on one, so it's like Kim shows there, just the ability to stay down originally and go from there, get your body in front of it. It's great to stay low because you can always play that hop if it comes up. As long as you're in front of it, it's just easier to come up on one if it takes a big hop up in there.
Well, you know, they talk about fundamentals. You hear it so often, and I think people lose perspective about what fundamentals are. And that's exactly what you were talking about with Tyson Kim. I mean, you've got to make those kind of plays. But you'll see at some levels, plays like that get booted, and sometimes on a regular basis, and obviously it's going to have a major effect on the ball game.
I don't think people appreciate in this great American game how tough it is to field. Just when you think about that.
Oh, I know it.
It's sometimes taken for granted.
They put so much emphasis in this game, most fans do, on the offensive side. And even the game itself, sometimes they will sacrifice a glove if the guy's got a big bat. But the only guy who hasn't had an official at-bat in this game today, Chad Myers, steps up to lead it off for the Blue Jays on the bottom of the third inning. And Baird's first pitch is over for a strike. I'll tell you, you know, the last half inning, it seemed, as you talked about Fosbender, he not only did he pick up his confidence, but he was a lot quicker in his deliveries. I mean, his worked a lot more deliberately than he had the first couple of innings, and I think that says something. And now Baird is doing the same thing because this is his first aggressive sequence that I've seen since that base hit that hit the umpire. Roped into center. Taylor on a long run, and he's not going to get to this one. So Myers starts off the Creighton third with a base hit to center field.
This is a great job of hitting by Chad Myers. He was behind in the count. He was upset, feeling he wasn't getting a fair shake from the umpire, but some great pitches by Baird. That time he was fooled a little bit, but stayed back and adjusted on the breaking pitch and was able to get the base hit, lofting it into center.
So that brings up the leadoff hitter, Tyson Kim, who walked and then scored the only run of this ball game back in the first inning, as Baird decides to keep Myers close to first base. Chad has 28 stolen bases this year.
I figured that's what you were looking at.
And he leads the club by far and away, leads the Creighton Ball Club.
So you have to hold him on first base, and the third baseman has to think of the bunt.
Well, the next closest Blue Jay is 12 stolen bases away from him, and that's Tyson Kim.
Was Jack Dahm being influenced by the Red Sox organization? Or?
Well, let's hope not, because if that's the case, he'll win a lot early and lose late in the year, and we definitely don't want that.
Well, that time Kim squared around a little bit to show a bunt.
And another relay to first base. 1-0 the count to Tyson Kim, as we are in the bottom of the third inning, and you're watching Creighton baseball live on O2 TV. Missouri Valley Conference leader Wichita State in town. That pitch on the inside part of the plate. He called it a strike. It moved Kim off the plate. I don't know. That'll leave him the count of the ball and a strike.
Both teams not happy with the home plate umpire's calls early in this game, particularly in this inning. Richie Taylor upset in the top half of this inning, but those are great locations. There's no doubt about it for the great pitches.
Another relay to first, and Myers has to go in head first.
But that's to the benefit of Fosbender and Baird when they are able to paint the black, and Brian was doing that in the top half of this inning, and he had a 3-up, 3-downer.
Down at third base, Blake maybe a half a step behind the bag. And another relay to first. So Baird's getting a workout going to first base. 1-3-0 for Creighton, 0-4-1 for the Shockers. And another one to first base.
Oh, you can see the disruption of getting a leadoff man on first base, especially one with a lot of speed, your best stolen base man.
Well, the way this game is going, he's a big runner right now. big, important runner out there. Here's a pitch is high. 2 balls and a strike to Tyson Kim. You know, it's all part of the ball game, but you always still have to wonder what goes through the batter's mind during all of this. He's standing there. You got to be ready for every pitch because you don't know if the pitcher's going to come to the plate. You have to learn to read that. Rips it into left field for a base hit. Golf shot. Myers stops at second base, and the Blue Jays have runners at first and second with no out here in the bottom of the 3rd inning, and that'll bring up John Dunlop.
Well, Casey Blake, the 3rd baseman, playing toward the line, and Jason Adams has to think about double play with Myers on first, and that leaves a lot of room in the hole, and there it went through.
So the situation that Gene Stevenson didn't want, Speedy Myers is in scoring position now. And there's no outs here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. This could be a big, big opportunity for the Blue Jays. Decoy the runner at second base. There's the bunt. First baseman has it. He's going to have to go to first, and the sacrifice works for Dunlop. So you move Myers to 3rd, Kim down to second base. Dunlop is out 3-4 on the sacrifice as the watch the shift just before the pitch.
Yeah, great look at the defense. They send the first baseman and the 3rd baseman the keys on making that play. He took a good look at 3rd. I thought he may take a shot at trying to get the runner at 3rd base, and Myers, but he thought differently, especially with Myers' speed.
Here's a guy you like to have up in this position, Mike Stick, because he's a battler. I mean, he might not be setting the world on fire with a high batting average, but this guy will give you everything he can, every at-bat, and you saw it there. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Wasn't going to waste any time. He figured if the pitch was in the strike zone, much like yesterday, the Blue Jays figured if the ball was in the strike zone, we're going for it. But a base hit here definitely would put the Blue Jays in a good situation with Myers and Kim out at second base, the runner. There's definitely going to be a run if the ball is hit into the outfield.
We just want to officially say the person in the background you're hearing is not part of the television broadcast crew.
Baird's pitch. Stick has to hunch over, and that's a ball. I remember that one night we were doing a Royals game. There was a guy down there doing that peacock sound.
I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, man. Carol Edgren, as she was known then, I think she was up here. And Jim Carmichael was our director, and he had everybody trying to find that guy.
And they did it.
That's right.
There's Dr. Leahy Bevilacqua in the background, the Creighton dugout with the white cap on, the legendary team physician for Creighton Athletic. And a great supporter of that university.
And adopted father to several athletes who've come through Creighton. This could be trouble. Looped over second base. That'll score 1 run. They're going to hold Kim at 3rd base. I think that handcuffed Jackson because at first it looked like he took a step in and then it just floated over his head. So Myers will score. Stick gets a looping base hit to short right center and an RBI.
He really fought that off, like you said, Torri. And Myers also did some adjustments on some tough Baird pitches when he was able to get on base to start this inning. So Creighton doing a nice job against a tough pitching staff.
And we've got movement already in the Shocker bullpen down the right field foul area.
The right-hander warming up.
That brings up the DH, A.J. Walkenoff, cleanup hitter, had the first RBI in this ball game. It was his 37th of the year. By the way, that is Mike Stick's 32nd RBI. Runners at first and 3rd now. They're holding Stick at first base. Well, as I said, Stick's a battler, and that's exactly what he did. And the Blue Jays lead it 2-0 here in the bottom of the 3rd inning.
Now the Wichita player who was warming up has stopped, put his jacket on, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Wake up, Frank, wake up!
Baird to the belt. And here he comes. Line shot into center field. Taylor comes in on it. There's the tag at 3rd by Kim, and we've got the 3rd Blue Jay run. They lead it 3-0 on the sacrifice fly by Walkenoff, or a sacrifice line drive, I guess, is more apt. That's Walkenoff's 37th RBI of the season.
And making good contact, a well-hit ball. Another one sent toward Taylor, and center field. You get a little nervous sometimes, even on a play like that, because Wichita having such a great tradition in center field and great arms, most notably Jim Audley. But the runner able to make it home, no problems, Kim.
Stick holds at first base, and that'll bring up Mike McCabe, and that pitch gets past Reese, and down to second base goes Stick. Stick took off, so I guess they're going to say he would have made it. They're going to officially give him a stolen base. So for the Burke product, that is his 7th stolen base of the season. 1-0 the count. Here's a pitch. Ooh, inside. He didn't even move. And I'd have been bailing real quick.
Yeah, I think I would have been thinking the same thing.
I don't know if he got crossed up on that pitch or he just felt, hey, if it hits me, it hits me. 2-0 to McCabe, who ended the first inning with a ground out to second base. Baird's pitch. Foul back. 2 balls and a strike, 2 outs. We're in the bottom of the third, and the Jays have worked and got 2 runs across, and they lead it 3-0 here.
Was another tough inside pitch that a Creighton batter fought off, almost having the bat sawed off.
McCabe, another one of those Creighton hitters with that open stance. That one's high. 3 balls and a strike.
Well, we had our third base shot of the batter, and you could see into the Wichita dugout, and Gene Stevenson pacing around a little bit, and that pitch coming up in the strike zone, a sign of a pitcher struggling.
There it is. Call strike. That'll fill the count up 3 balls and 2 strikes. McCabe came into the game batting at .289. Baird's pitch. Hit high, deep, right field. Back is Hall on the track. Has it. That's about a 357-foot fly ball. But Blue Jays with a big inning. They come up with a couple of runs. And they did it on 3 hits. They left a runner on. We've completed 3. And the Blue Jays lead Wichita State 3-0.
Car has finally grown up. Introducing the Volvo 850 Sports Wagon.
For a gorgeous ride and a gorgeous deal, come to Mike Gorgeous Pontiac Volvo GMC, 65th and L.
You're watching the most committed professionals in home entertainment bring you the clearest, most reliable picture you'll ever see. People trained to bring the magic of fiber optics into your home. People who take pride in customer service, who reflect the winning spirit of their company. You're watching the people of Cox Cable, bringing you our best by giving you their best. And you thought you were just watching television.
Moving to the top of the 4th inning here live on O2 TV from Rosenblatt Stadium. The Blue Jays lead the Shockers 3-0. And it'll be the 4, 5, and 6 hitters for Wichita State. Gulick, Jackson, and Davis facing Brian Fossbender, who after a shaky start in the first inning has really settled down. He's been the beneficiary of a couple of double plays. But last inning was really all his. He started out with a strikeout and pitching very, very aggressively now.
And Jack Dahm right now saying, Brian, just stay in that groove. Throw strikes. It's 2-0 right now. Don't get behind like this.
Back up the middle again. Fossbender with a good glove. He throws him out. Last inning, he caught a line drive back to the box. You know, we talked about how much of confidence a pitcher will have when he knows he has a good defense behind him. Well, the reverse is true with the rest of the position players when they know they have a defensive pitcher.
Yeah, and you saw on that replay a good basic defensive position after he delivers it.
Ground ball to second base. A little bit of trouble for Dunlap, but he makes the throw. And it was wide. McCabe tried to tag the runner, and he missed him.
Yeah, he fumbled it, and that threw it off, and then he was wide with the throw. It looked like he had good position, but he wasn't able to come up with it. McCabe doing everything he could to make the tag, but Jackson, realizing what was going on, was able to avoid it and touch first base.
So Dunlap charged with an error, allowing Jackson to reach. That'll bring up Casey Davis, who led off the second inning with a single for the Shockers before being raced on a 4-6-3 double play. Speaking of which, we could have another one. Up 6-4-3 this time. Third DP of the ball game for the Blue Jay infield. And I'll tell you, you'll have to go far to find a shorter inning than that for a pitcher.
Here's a real good double play combination. You're looking at the pitcher's best friend following up on that error. A little bit of trouble against a real solid team. Fossbender getting what he needed, the ground ball to Tyson Kim.
So no runs, no hits. There was one error, but it didn't hurt the Blue Jays, and nobody left. So we go to the bottom of the fourth, and there's your score. Blue Jays 3, Wichita State nothing. And man, the Jays are cruising. I mean, they're really in rhythm right now.
I think Gene Stevenson talking about the fact that he wouldn't have minded having this whole series out here at Rosenblatt. But it certainly is not hurting Creighton to be playing on the grass.
No.
It certainly makes it a little bit easier for your infield, Kim and Dunlop, to make those plays.
So the Blue Jays will send up Piggott, Mahoney, and Howe here in the bottom of the fourth inning. It's always great to be out in the ballpark, even though it's a little chilly today and overcast. Rosenblatt Stadium still one of the better ballparks around the country to watch a game. And with a renovation just recently, it shortened the distance between the plate and the outfield fences, but it's given more seats and more vantage point for people. Of course, don't get me going about, you know, how we have to please the College World Series and NCAA. But as long as it works out good for the city and the ballpark, that's all that counts. There's a long shot to right field. Hall back. That's off the top of the fence. That's a home run, is it not? Didn't it hit the?
I think
it hit the back?
The umpire.
I thought it hit the top sign.
Yeah, now he gives a little better signal than it is.
That is a home run. We had something similar to this in the College World Series. Was it Georgia Southern? Hit a home run like that, and the umpire didn't give him a home run, but it was.
And those upper signs causing a problem with the depth, but the umpire at first base going out to make that call, he made the call quickly, then he dropped his right hand down. That led to the confusion. There's the pitch up in the strike zone, right up in the eyes, a fastball, and there it goes.
That ball is out of here. So that now makes it 4-0 as Piggott hits his 5th home run of the season, and it's his 30th run batted in. Mike Mahoney fouls one up the third baseline, and that'll even the count at a ball and a strike. But yeah, that was a little confusing, but it hit that sign. In those signs, those upper signs, as Terry was saying about the sometimes confusing with your depth perception, they are behind the outfield fence.
Yeah. But he was on top of the call. He just didn't stay with his motion long enough.
That pitch way inside and misses Mahoney. Dan Howe is on deck.
You know, this breeze or wind, I suppose you could call it, going left or right, but that was a well hit. That was a rope type line drive getting out of here, and it got out of here in a hurry. Certainly didn't need any wind aid.
2-1 pitch. Misses inside, 3-1. Not quite unlike some of those Lyle Mouton drives that we've seen. I remember he hit one over the old scoreboard This one's fouled back off the glass of the press box. And we're talking about the former LSU heavy hitter, for those who might not understand. The old scoreboard, it was closer toward center field than it is now. And he hit one over the scoreboard, and it was still going up as it went over the scoreboard. There's another high shot to left toward the line. Davis trips and falls on the bullpen mound. Otherwise, he has that ball. And I'm telling you, you know, I have never liked the bullpens in foul territory like that. Even though, you know, Wichita State is a big rival of Creighton, you hate to see anybody's clean opportunity get.
Yeah, and it's part of the play, and you see obviously what happened. Unfamiliarity with the stadium on a regular basis, of course, being a visiting team, no matter how many times they've been here for the World Series.
Popped right up into the infield. Reese gets it in right up the first baseline. I really can't say if the ball was in foul territory when he caught it. He was, but I don't know if the ball was. Be that as it may, that's the first out. That'll bring up Dan Howe. Howe grounded out to third base to end the second inning. Hits one to shortstop. Big bounder. Adams with the easy relay. Quickly, there's 2 outs.
Now, with a big bounce like that, we were talking about sometimes not appreciating how difficult it is to field a baseball, to be an infielder. On a hop like that, I could do it. And those are, you get a big hop like that, but it's the variations of that that really separate the someone ordinary who doesn't belong at this level from the ones that are playing here and above the collegiate level.
Kind of like the Wizard of Oz, huh?
Yeah.
Ozzy?
Yeah, he could do it great. You're certainly one of the great fielding shortstops.
It's a swing and a miss on a fastball. Chad Myers singled and scored back in the third inning. As a matter of fact, he began that third inning for the Blue Jays with a leadoff base hit. 2 outs here in the bottom of the fourth inning, and the Blue Jays lead 4-0. Nice play at second toward the bag by Jackson, and he throws him out. And what makes that play even more spectacular is that Myers can move down the line. Well, we've completed 4 innings. The Blue Jays pick up a run on the leadoff home run by Chris Pickett, and that's the only run and only hit they get this inning. So after 4 complete, the Blue Jays lead the Shockers now by a score of 4-0.
A career in financial services is a
We're creating new possibilities in healthcare.
Are you having any pain?
Where medical specialists will diagnose patients who can't come to them.
No, just the shortness.
You're watching Cox Cable and Omaha grow together. And you thought...
For you the last couple of innings, because the Jays have scored twice in the third and one in the fourth. That home run by Chris Pickett really brought people up, and now Brian Fossbender goes into the top of the fifth with a 4-0 lead as he faces Casey Blake, Jason Ficken, and Nathan Reese, the last three hitters in this Wichita State lineup. 4-6-1 for the Jays, 0-4-1 for Wichita State. And there's the strike. You know, Fossbender, we talked about, he's been helped by 3 double plays, but he has made a couple of good plays himself defensively, and he does have that 1 strikeout. 1-2 pitch. Tried to tantalize him with an outsider, and he wouldn't go, so now it's 2-2.
Pretty good location there. Didn't miss by much and came in with the fastball on 1-2.
Nice play behind the plate by Mahoney, although no one was on base. You still got to react and make those plays. That'll fill the count up at 3-2. Outfield doesn't think that Blake can get around on Fossbender, as everybody's a step toward right. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Well, I guess if you can't put your bat on the ball, you don't have to worry where you put the outfielders. That's the second strikeout of the game for Fossbender, and both times he did it to the lead. He struck out the leadoff hitter.
You can't beat that if you're a pitching coach. If you're Brian O'Connor, the pitching coach of the Jays, you have to love the fact that Fossbender now starting to get the jump, get ahead in that count.
Well, he hit his rhythm about the middle of the third inning. Since then, he's pitched very well. Here's Jason Ficken. Ficken had an infield single back in the second inning, but then was forced out at second base, and that ended the inning. Down at third base, Howe is up on the grass. That pitch is over. He's got great location. He's really pitching confidently now. No balls and 2 strikes.
Started Ficken off with the fastball and then came in with that breaking pitch.
Just about everybody in the Creighton dugout is up on the top step. That pitch is in the dirt. 1 ball, 2 strikes, which is, you know, those are some of the subtleties that make the difference between college and big league ball. College players like to be up on the steps. Usually in pro ball, or we see the big leagues more often than anything else, I guess. But they sit back. You know, you come out here and see the AAA Royals, and you don't see a lot of people up on the top step.
It's their job, playing more games. But when someone launches one into the sky, it's something you see. You have that home plate shot, and you see those dugouts erupt.
Call strike 3. Fossbender has struck out 2 in a row, and that's his third of the ball game. There's 2 down, and that'll bring up Nathan Reese.
That have a little movement on it. Looked like a slider he came in with. So a great mixture of pitches, fastball, a slider. Is a breaking pitch with a pretty good amount of velocity. It could have been his curve.
You know, it's too bad we haven't been counting pitches, but he has thrown a lot of strikes the last 2 innings. Reese takes this one high and outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 outs. We're in the top of the 5th. Blue Jays lead Wichita State 4-0, and Brian Fossbender has found his stride, folks. There's no question about that. Popped up. Who wants it? Dunlop over at second base. And another 1-2-3 inning for Brian Fossbender. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. We've played 4.5, and the Blue Jays lead Wichita State 4-0.
Well, we were talking about some of the tough things to do in sports, and we know that hitting a baseball, round object with a round bat is definitely right up there as one of the toughest things to do in sports. I think playing defensive back against a great receiver or being a safety, being that last line of defense would be difficult. Goaltender in hockey is in that last line of defense position. But I think in baseball, we know, and Ted Williams has written about this, he's talked about it, it's the toughest thing to do is to hit a baseball. Maybe that overshadows fielding sometimes. And the reason I'm on this is because I like watching Kim and Dunlop playing for Creighton as the middle infield.
Well, you know, it is so true. And we did talk about it earlier that in America anyway, everybody who follows sports, well, not everybody, most of the people who follow sports are offensive minded. A lot of runs, a lot of points, look good doing it. You know, it's one thing to hit a line drive home run. It still counts the same. But if you can launch one a mile high and a mile long, for some reason that seems to bring the oohs and ahs out. And you're right, a lot of teams who play good, steady defense, you don't have to have excellent defense, you just play steady defense, will win a lot of ball games. And they'll be in ball games more than teams who like to hit the ball a long way and score a lot of runs but can't catch it. So on the bottom of the fifth here at Rosenblatt Stadium, it'll be the top of the order for the Blue Jays. Kim Dunlop, that middle infield combination, and then Mike Stick, who came up with a great big RBI single back in the third inning. Pitch by Baird is inside, backs him off the plate.
I think if you're Jack Dahm, you have to be happy about getting 4 runs so far in each game of this series.
That one's going to be out of play.
And what I mean, Wichita coming in with the ERA in the league real low.
Incredible.
So Creighton at least came up with 4 yesterday. They have 4 so far here. So at least the offense of Jack's team is working. It's clicking so far against a tough group.
Hey, you talk about that. When was the last time you saw a team's ERA under 3? Wichita State is at 2.96. Team ERA. That one fouled off right side. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The count to Tyson Kim. Kim is 1 for 1 today, and he scored twice. Walked the lead off the first, singled, and then scored in the third. John Dunlop is on deck. A pitch inside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Baird just not finding the location that he would like. I mean, for someone with his low ERA of a 1.90, and he's 8-0. As he gets Kim to go down on a low outside pitch, and that's his first strikeout of the ball game.
Threw some breaking stuff at Tyson Kim, and it was a tough at-bat for Tyson. He did have him off balance there, and you could see with the swing that he was off balance.
Creighton's first-year head coach Jack Dahm down at third base.
There's a
that one was way before the plate.
That knocked Reese's mask right off. That's a story in and of itself in college baseball this year. A big sports story in Omaha is Dahm and the rest of his coaches being so young.
Yeah.
All Creighton grads, former players.
But, you know, I think that's one way you build consistency and build tradition in a program, obviously. And it's got to start somewhere. And it was ironic that it took an outsider, so to speak, Jim Hendry, who quickly became dear to the hearts of many in this city. But he's got it started, and they've been able to keep it going. And, of course, you can't get to the College World Series every year, but as long as you're competitive, there's a wicked shot to left center. But it dies out there, and Davis is able to make the catch going back toward the gap. That thing left Dunlop's bat, and it looked like it might have the potential to cause some trouble, at least get in the gap and roll around out there, but slowed down, and Davis able to make the grab. 2 outs, Mike Stick is up. Stick 2 for 2 with an RBI and a stolen base. This kid has been very, very busy.
I think there was an example where that breeze definitely did affect that one, because that looked real good. And you have that lower fence out there in the outfield now.
Hit up the middle. Oh, nice play by Adams. He throws him out, going toward the bag. And the Jays are out in order here in the bottom of the 5th inning. So after 5 complete, the Blue Jays still lead Wichita State by a score of 4-0.
has finally grown up. Introducing the Volvo 850 Sports Wagon.
For a gorgeous ride and a gorgeous deal, come to Mike Gorgeous Pontiac Volvo GMC, 65th and L.
These days, cocooning, creating a nest around one's home, has become a social phenomenon due to Music Choice, the new music service that comes into your stereo through cable. Take a look inside as people gyrate and emote to 30 different music choices, commercial-free, from rock to classical with CD quality sound. So get wild! Have fun with Music Choice, cable for your stereo.
Top of the 6th inning here at Rosenblatt Stadium. Welcome you could be with us here on O2 TV Live. Torri Pantaleon along with Terry Leahy. And he's here.
Great to be together again.
Yeah.
Jack Dahm hoping to get to Rick Heiserman down the line maybe in this game.
Great place to watch a ball game from.
Yeah,
Press box.
Yeah, and this is a beautiful stadium, and the improvements over the last few years really making it something else.
Taylor leading off for the Shockers, and of course with him up at bat, that causes problems for a third baseman, and Howe has been on the grass and off the grass and charging the plate and dropping off. Taylor, though, has yet to get a hit. He's 0 for 1. He led off with a walk, and then he got called out on strikes. That was back in the 3rd inning, and now he's behind in the count of 1-2.
This is a big out for Fossbender, because he's at the top of that lineup, and he did Taylor doing the job in that first inning, as you said, Torri. You just have to keep this person off base.
2-2 pitch. Hit the opposite way. Going to be a long run for Stick in foul territory, and he can't quite get to it. That's that infamous no man's territory you hear baseball people talk about so much on little bloops to the outfield or in foul territory such as that one. And it's just tough. Third baseman, shortstop, left field are all converging, and nobody's going to get to it.
It's something that when you see that play being made routinely, though, when you have the on the right-hand side of the field, the second baseman has the best shot at that play, and the shortstop very often the best shot on one like that, and then it's up to the outfielders too.
Hit to the right side on a 2-2 pitch. Dunlap, no problems with this one, and we've got one away. That is the 5th consecutive hitter retired by Fossbender. And that'll bring up Jason Adams, the shortstop, who's 1 for 2. He singled in the 1st and lined back to Fossbender in the 3rd.
Dunlap really smooth taking up that grounder. I want to make a point after. I forgot. We're not on radio. I could go ahead and make this point.
Sure, you can.
Mike Evans, the legendary coach at Bellevue College, I saw him do a drill with his high school team where he was hitting fairly light ground balls, but his infielders were not using gloves.
Yeah, barehanded, yes.
And you could see where that kind of a drill would pay off. Well, not so much on that one there, but on that last one that Dunlap had when he was able to get Taylor, just that roller on the ground.
Soft hands. That's right. A teacher should have those soft hands, like literally a feel for the ball. Adams with that ground out to shortstop.
And there's Kim making a nice play, a different kind of play than the one Taylor had before that, where Kim having to circle that a little bit and set up quickly for the throw. He has a greater distance to throw, obviously, than the second baseman would. Second baseman has a little more time because of a point A to point B.
Well, Fossbender now falls behind Carl Hall 2-0. Hall is 1 for 2. He had a bunt single in the 1st that loaded the bases, and he ended the 3rd inning with a ground out to shortstop. Call strike as Fossbender working very quickly. That last ground out, by the way, that could have been a problem because Howe had been coming. He was up on the grass for Adams. And there's a call strike 2. It'll leave him the count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. And as we know, that as we saw earlier in the 1st inning, when that happened defensively, the Blue Jays got burned because a base hit, the ball got through the infield. 2-2 pitch on the way. That one a little bounder to third base. Howe's going to have to hurry, but he gets him. Nice play by Dan Howard out at third base. So everybody in the infield gets into the act as the Shockers go down in order again. Second straight inning, third time in the last 4 innings. A ground out to second, a ground out to short, and so Howe wouldn't feel left out. A little bounder to him, and the Shockers are out in order.
That was a great motion, and that Brooks Robinson motion where you're moving as quickly as you can, and as you pick it up, just in that one motion, it's the only way to do it, or you might as well just eat it and forget about it.
Here's my favorite spot. Anybody who knows me knows I hang out there.
But we haven't set up any shots yet of some of the food that you enjoy yet. We're seeing the stand itself, but none of the hot dog shots yet.
Moving right along.
There you go, Torri.
Yeah, hey.
Is our camera operator going to bring those up here?
I don't know. Well, now that they have an elevator, it's possible. Fassbender has retired 7 straight hitters, and he's retired 12 out of the last 13 he's faced. The only hitter to break that spell was in the 4th inning when Joey Jackson reached on the ground ball and was mishandled by Dunlop. Other than that, though, nobody's really hurt him. Baird's still on the mound for the Shockers. And that pitch is fouled back here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Walking off McCabe and Pickett. AJ, a single and an RBI, a sacrifice fly and an RBI. Not a bad day, 1 for 1 with 2 ribbies. 0-1 pitch. Hit to right. Hall in and toward the line, and he makes the grab.
Nice grab.
1 out.
The outfielders in left field and right field have a tough time handling those slices like that. They come off a little different to you in those positions than it would, say, the center field.
That's true. Very true.
It just takes a different angle. That was slicing away.
Mike McCabe fouls that one off. That'll bring the count 0-1. One thing I can say about Rosenblatt Stadium, if there is a bad or a negative about it, how would you like to be the right fielder at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon or 6 o'clock?
Yeah,
we've seen some times like that.
But those outfielders on the left and right side also have lights to deal with in some stadiums, especially the major leagues.
Yeah.
It's more of a problem than a lot of people give them credit for dealing with.
1-1 pitch. Popped up to the left side. Blake in foul territory, makes the grab. There's 2 outs. So that'll bring up Chris Pickett, who led off the 4th inning with a home run, his 5th of the season. And that was the last time the Blue Jays scored, and we're still at 4-0.
There's a good look at his open stance.
You know, I know one of the things we always used to talk about was uniform styles. His pitch is fouled at the plate.
For the record, you brought this up.
Yes, I know. But what I'm saying is it's interesting how in the last few years it's been real popular, even at the professional level all the way up to the big leagues, for players to hike their pants up high but leave their stirrups low. Whereas before you used to have those long stirrups.
Yeah. And this is a Pickett with a Scott Erickson look of the socks.
Here's a call strike. Well, I remember, though, the Cincinnati Reds in the 1970s would wear their stirrups low. Sparky Anderson didn't.
Yeah, they were sticklers on that uniform. Ooh.
Man, was he fooled on that. You could tell he didn't want to go around on it, but he committed himself. So that is the 2nd strikeout of the ball game for Baird, and it ends the Creighton 6th, the 2nd straight 1-2-3 inning for Baird. Well, we've played 6 now here at Rosenblatt Stadium. Your score, Creighton 4, Wichita State 0.
An association of dedicated financial professionals and one of America's strongest life insurance companies team up to offer you a unique and rewarding career opportunity. Omaha's John Emery & Associates offer insurance and financial services through Nebraska-based Emeritus Life, which is rated by Weiss Research as one of the nation's financially strongest life insurance companies. To learn more about this winning team, call John Emery & Associates at 397-1952. Emeritus is an equal opportunity employer.
They're chasing a dream. Working toward glory.
You're going to have to do this on your own one day.
And bringing home laughs on pay-per-view.
I can't get my helmet done. Oh, thanks, Coach.
A coach and 4 Jamaicans are going where no Jamaican has gone before. John Candy and his team go for the gold.
Where did these guys come from?
Jamaica! Cool Runnings.
Stay cool and run to TCBY and register to win a Cool Runnings t-shirt and poster.
A day at the ballpark. Yes, sir. Gee, just before we left for the break, we were talking about disco music. Maybe that's...
Yeah, this village coming
people.
back.
I don't know, man.
Collegiate baseball, Division I in Omaha.
Golick, Jackson, and Davis to face Brian Fossbender here in the top of the 7th for Wichita State. Golick already ahead on the count 2-0. He's 0 for 2 today with a fielder's choice and a ground out to the pitcher, but he gets a hold of this one. Myers back. Nobody's going to get to it. It's off the wall. Golick to second base, not running particularly hard. Now the relay gets loose in the outfield, and he'll go to third base. So we'll see how they're going to score that one as Golick leads off with a big hit to the gap in right center.
Chad Myers, Chris Piggott playing pretty shallow, so they had no chance at this. And then the misplay giving that extra base.
Joey Jackson now, he's looking for his first hit of the day. Grounded out into an ending inning double play in the first inning and reached on an error in the 4th. Swing and a miss for a strike. And a pitch by Fossbender. So this is really the first noise Wichita State has made, and since that big first inning where they loaded the bases with no outs and didn't score. Golick over at third.
Let's see if Fossbender turns around and comes back off the mound. Oh, he's going to stay up there. Thought he might try and regain some composure. A big pitch.
Misses. 3-2 now. Golick will be credited with a double. He gets to go to third on the throwing error by Chad Myers. So the Shockers start the top of the 7th out with a runner on third base and no outs, and then Fossbender walks his second batter of the game. Long time between walks because he walked the first batter he faced, Richie Taylor, and this is the first time he's issued a free pass since then. Second walk and puts runners at first and third. You know, in a situation like this, and believe me, I'm not trying to second guess Jack Dahm at all, but when the leadoff hitter gets to third with no outs as Jack is out there now discussing things with the home plate umpire, maybe issuing a free pass to the next hitter might not be such a bad thing because it does set you up for possible double play. You might have to sacrifice the run for that, but with a 4-0 lead in the 7th inning, that might not be such a bad situation to be in.
Yeah, and this isn't a situation, too, where Jack comes out to talk to the umpire, and you have that double play situation like you were talking about, and the left-hander up in the bullpen now for Creighton. Jack giving a little bit of time, though Fossbender has been getting some good pitch location. There's one there.
That's right.
So he's been getting the breaks from the umpires. I know the hitter's obviously not happy. Feeling the strike zone today has been a little wide.
Foul back, and Davis has hit the ball on the ground twice today. Has a ground ball base hit up the middle, and he hit into an inning-ending 6-4-3 double play. So with all that in tow, it's very possible that That free pass isn't going to hurt Creighton all that much. That pitch outside, there's a right-hander going for the Shockers in the bullpen. So both pens with action. Runners at first and third. There's no outs here for Wichita State in the top of the 7th. Creighton leads it 4-0. And the 1-2 pitch to Davis. Loop foul to the left side, and nice over-the-head catch by Dan Howe. That was a fine, fine play by Howe down at third base in the runner's hold.
We had been talking about throughout this game the tough chances for the infielders on those flares in foul territory behind the base, and I was about ready to say when we were discussing that, you have to admire infielders going out with their backs to the plate, backs to the infield like that, handle that, and Howe got the job done there.
That brings up Casey Blake, who's hit into a double play and gone down swinging. 1 out in the top of the 7th. Shockers still have runners at the corners. That pitch is inside as Howe is up on the grass at third base. And they're holding the runner over at first, so there's a lot of room in that infield for a ground ball to get through. There's a line shot to the gap and right. Piggott over, makes the catch, falling down. The runner tags at third. He'll score. Jackson holds at first, and Wichita State has their first run of the game. It's 4-1 now, Creighton.
Have to worry about a team being explosive. You'll take this out here because that started looking like it was going to the gap, but there's Piggott making the play, at least getting that out, at least getting the second out as we move along through this.
Brings up Jason Ficken, who's 1 for 2. A little bounder back to the mound. Fossbender with a nice athletic play. Tosses over to first. And the Blue Jays are out of the 7th with minimal damage. The Shockers come up with a run. They did it on 1 hit. There was 1 Creighton error. And it was 1 runner left on. We're going to the 7th inning stretch here at Rosenblatt Stadium. And the Blue Jays lead Wichita State by a score of 4-1.
Well, we'll go with a recording of Harry Carey for the traditional home half 7th inning stretch and the singing of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. You hate to see the run come in, but it was a great play to get that out in right field. Piggott, that thing heading for the gap, heading for the wall, was able to make that play. But you look back and you get a little nervous when you see the lineup that a team like Wichita has, and you're still only up by 3 now, and I know a lot of the Creighton fans have to be thinking, well, it's going to be it's going to be a white knuckler the rest of the way here.
Well, you know, there's no question. Anybody who follows college baseball knows that we're getting to the part of the game where depth and talent will come into play. And as you said, Wichita State, those of us in Omaha know well about Wichita State and what they have to offer and what they can do to you. And there's no question that Baird has settled down the last couple of innings. And it's just a matter now, the Blue Jays taking care of business. But what I like about the situation with Piggott is Huebner's out because of hamstring problems. Piggott hits a home run and makes a nice catch in the outfield. And that shows you some of the depth that Creighton has. And a lot of people still, they look at their overall record at 25-23 and say, what's going on? Well, they are in running for the conference championship. And there's a long shot. See ya. Man, that's about 10, 12 rows up into the seats out in left field. Mike Mahoney with a leadoff home run, the second leadoff home run the Jays have had today. It's his 4th of the year, 23rd RBI, and he makes up for the run Wichita State scored in the top of this inning. And that's one thing you like to do. If your opponent scores, your next at-bat, you like to get on the board yourself.
Yeah, come up with a nice defensive play. No doubt about that one. Even with that fence being lower out there in the last couple of years with the bleacher seats moving out beyond left field, that one way up into those seats. It was very well hit. Creighton has been making great contact on Baird throughout this game.
Dan Howe steps in and takes a strike. He's grounded out twice, once to third, once to short. Distance notwithstanding, there's only probably one big league park I can think that ball might not have been out of.
I wonder where that would be. That big,
the cream
kind of
monster.
A wall in the way.
Yeah.
Kind of rises up like it's almost behind the shortstop.
Yeah, just a little bit. And I think it's a lot closer than 315.
And you've touched the wall.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have.
Kind of like E.T.
There's a strike.
That was a tough breaking pitch.
So Mahoney becomes Baird's third strikeout victim. And it's the first called strikeout that Baird has recorded, and that'll bring up Chad Myers. Myers, 1 for 2 with a run scored. He singled back in the third and scored, grounded out to second base to end the fourth inning. 1 out. And it's a 5-1 Creighton lead after the leadoff home run by Mike Mahoney. On deck is Tyson Kim. Squares around a bunt and then pulls his bat back.
Well, it's good when you're the top base stealer for a team and you're in the 9th place hitting position. Square around a little bit, show that. Bring in that third baseman. Blake is in at third.
Pitch is inside. And of course, it took a while for some of the people to realize the strategies, but that's one thing the designated hitter does do for a ball club. You can put a speedster down at the bottom of your lineup. There's a call strike.
I was saying that Baird, he came back with a strike there, but after Chad had squared around, he came inside with a fastball and missed, thinking he better move Chad off the plate.
Chopper to third. One corner, the other, high throw, goes up the line. Myers with good speed will go to second. They're going to bring him to third base as the ball dies in the foul territory. Standing up from home to third is Chad Myers on a one-hopper to third base. That'll be the second error of the ball game. For Wichita State, it's going to be charged to Blake.
That gets out in the no man's land. Had plenty of time, probably the proverbial too much time. He had the big hop that's easy to handle. Now the infield has to come in. A great situation with 1 out.
Tyson Kim. So many options with a guy like Kim now. Even with the infield in, you could bunt him, have him swing away, ground ball, get through on a drawn-in infield. And pitches inside, and then, of course, the factor of Baird trying to cat and mouse the hitter. It's 2-0 already.
Yeah, and it pretty much has to go right at an infielder to get an out in this situation when the infield's in like that. It's a matter of angles.
Hit one toward the gap and left. Davis back. He'll make the catch. But Myers tags at third, excuse me, and scores Creighton's 6th run. Albeit unearned.
Well, they get the run back that Wichita had in the 6th, or the one that Wichita came up in the top of this half inning, or the top half of this inning, and then to come up with an extra one.
That's right.
And that's a good trade-off.
Sure, and that's what we talk about. You know, when your opponent scores, it's good for you, obviously, to come right back your next at-bat to score, and the reverse is what they're trying to do, score and then prevent you from coming back. Hit high to the right side. Hall toward the line makes the easy catch. But not until after the Jays come up with a couple of runs. They did it with one hit, the home run by Mike Mahoney to lead off the 7th. Now, after we've played 7 complete at Rosenblatt Stadium, Creighton leads Wichita State 6-1.
Introducing the Volvo 850 Sports Wagon.
For a gorgeous ride and a gorgeous deal, come to Mike Gorgeous Pontiac Volvo GMC, 65th and L.
You're watching the most committed professionals in home entertainment bring you the clearest, most reliable picture you'll ever see. People trained to bring the magic of fiber optics into your home. People who take pride in customer service, who reflect the winning strong spirit of their company. You're watching the people of Cox Cable, bringing you our best by giving you their best. And you thought you were just watching television.
Cold, overcast day at Rosenblatt Stadium, but it's a fine day for the Creighton Bluejays as they're playing Wichita State and lead at 6-1 here in the top of the 8th inning as Brian Fossbender faces Nathan Reese, the leadoff hitter here for the Shockers in the 8th. And he is the number 9 hitter in the lineup looking for his first hit. He's 0 for 2. Fossbender's pitch, call strike, and they touched him for a run last inning. But other than that, Fossbender has really been tough since the second inning. 1-2 pitch on the way to Reese, outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
There you see a good pitch, a waste pitch ahead in the count, like Fossbender was in making that one.
Big kick and the pitch foul back.
Got a nice fluid motion, 3/4 delivery, Fossbender.
Well, I think he's given us a great example of a pitcher getting into his rhythm. After showing a rough first inning and then just getting into his form. Hit to the right side, Dunlap with it. 1 away. And we go to the top of the Wichita State order, and Richie Taylor still looking for his first hit. He's 0 for 2. He walked in the first and was called out on strikes in the third. Grounded to second base to start off the 6th.
Get this person. This a big part of the latter third of this game. Taylor right here.
Call strike.
Good start.
So we've seen the long ball from the Jays, and we've seen some great defense in the infield. That one hit the opposite way, high. Stick now comes in toward the line, and he makes the grab.
Horton out. Getting that leadoff player, their real igniter in their offense.
Exactly.
Hopefully the last time he has to see him today.
Jason Adams has a hit in 3 trips. Singled in the first, lined back to Fossbender in the third, and grounded to short in the 6th.
Gene Stevenson, Wichita State coach, one of the legends. Missouri U graduate and coached as an assistant to another legend, Enos Seymour, the retired Oklahoma coach.
There's a base hit in the left field. Adams got around on that one and hit a line drive, your classic rope. 6th hit of the day for Wichita State. Adams has 2 of those, and that'll bring up Carl Hall, who has a hit in 3 trips, a bunt single, and ground out to short, ground out to third. Bounder up the third base line. Tough play by Howe with a pivot and the throw across the diamond, but he's able to make it. And the Shockers are out on the top of the 8th. No runs, a hit, no errors. They left 1. We played 7.5 on O2 TV. And the Blue Jays lead Wichita State 6-1. There's the man. You know, in baseball circles at the college level, I know the man gets his due, but nationally from fans, I don't think he has the reputation that, of course, Cliff Gustafson, Rod Dato had out at Southern Cal.
Yeah, Gustafson showing up in Sports Illustrated last week. That was kind of neat to read about his background. You know, you get the media guides every year, but sometimes you don't get to read in detail the careers of a guy like Gustafson. He has been a very successful Texas high school coach, as we see a new pitcher in. And it was neat to go back into the 60s in that article, and Darrell Royal, as of course a legend himself, and athletic director at the time at Texas, and of course the football coach, hiring Gustafson to take over that program. And I remember seeing James Street, the famous Texas quarterback, pitching for Gustafson in this World Series. But one of the real neat things about this College World Series and the success story it's been is some of the biggest names in Omaha sports don't live here. It's those coaches.
Sure.
Dato, Gus,
Gary Ward,
and
Oklahoma State Stevenson. You're right. Well, the Shockers have a reliever on, and it's Jason Jordan, a right-hander. This will be his 18th appearance. He has an ERA of 3.73, a record of 3-2, 2 saves. He's pitched 41 innings, and he'll face Mike Stick, A.J. Walkenoff, and Mike McCabe. So Brian Fossbender retires after 7 innings. Off the fist towards short. Adams with the play, and there's 1 out.
Yeah, those names can just roll right off the tongue when you look at some of those great coaches and great names. Here's a nice play by the shortstop, staying down on this one. And Adams right at him. A roller, moderately hit.
Walkenoff has hit in 2 official at-bats, but he has 2 RBIs. He had a sacrifice fly back in the 3rd inning. 0-1 pitch. That's a foul right at the plate. It went off his foot. So Baird goes 7 innings. He gave up 7 hits, 6 runs, 5 of them are earned. He walked 1 and he struck out 3, and stands to suffer his first loss of the season. He came in here at 8-0, and now he's given way to Jason Jordan. 0-2 pitch to Walkenoff. Big swing and a miss, and Jordan now has his first strikeout and only his 2nd batter faced.
Jordan coming in with some heat there.
Mike McCabe now. McCabe looking for his first hit. He's grounded to second, flying to right, and fouled out to third base. Left-handed batter takes an outside pitch from Jordan.
He's throwing some heat. Walkenoff making contact there on the foul tip, but couldn't get enough and struck out.
Swing and a miss. Yeah, well, you figure a guy like Jordan, he used to coming in these situations, late innings, doesn't have to throw a lot, so he can just let it all go. Way outside, which is something, you know, that's happened a lot in the major leagues. You look at guys recently like Eckersley and Jeff Reardon, bring them in for 2 innings. One, usually just one, is there's another swing and a miss for strike 2 to leave them the count at 2-2. But no more than 2. 3 would be almost heresy for your stopper to go nowadays.
Well, and you're saying Gene Stevenson certainly not going to use Bluma in this situation,
No.
his stopper.
Now, Bluma pitched yesterday, and the Shockers win last night, and unless the Shockers were to come up with a big rally in the top of the 9th to force the Jays to use their last at-bat, then we might see Bluma, but right now, you're right, you won't.
And Fossbender for Creighton doing the great job of keeping Jack Dom's bullpen arms arrested so far in this one, taking this clear up to the 9th inning.
And in this weather, too. There's a call, strike 3. Got the outside part of the plate. So Jordan comes in and gets the Jays in order in the 8th, and he strikes out the last 2 hitters he faces. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. As we go to the top of the 9th inning, the Blue Jays lead Wichita State 6-1.
A career in financial services is a career with a rewarding future. Omaha's John Emery and Associates team up with Emeritus Life to offer insurance and investments to clients in eastern Nebraska and western Iowa. Backed by experienced professionals and one of the nation's strongest life insurance companies, your potential for a successful career is unlimited. Discover the rewards of a career in financial services. Call John Emery and Associates at 397-1952 today.
You're watching a community grow into the information age, where Cox Cable is providing more than a clear, reliable picture. We're creating classrooms without walls.
That's right.
Where students will interact with teachers miles away. We're creating new possibilities in healthcare.
Are you having any pain?
Where medical specialists will diagnose patients who can't come to them.
No, just the shortness.
You're watching Cox Cable and Omaha grow together. And you thought you were just watching television.
Into the top of the 9th. Golick, Jackson, and Davis to face Brian Fossbender. Blue Jays lead at 6-1, and called strike now evens the count at 1-1 to Golick, and he thought Fossbender was in a rhythm before. This will be the one time he's really going to let it go. Outside part of the plate, strike 2. Man, he's homing.
Yeah, great location. He picked that up after the shaky first inning, and he's really been painting the black pretty much in this game.
Foul out of play on the left field side, and not caught by the fan. It almost hit a little curl down there.
Now that painting the black is the border around home plate, on the edge, great location, not coming down the middle with anything, just getting it over the plate. The umpire pretty much has to call a strike at that location, but it's on the edge.
1-2 to Gulick. Top of the ninth, Jays with a 6-1 lead over Wichita State. Fouls that pitch back right up on the net.
I wonder if he's changed speeds a little bit on that one. Or
Looked
from
like
behind
he did
the
take
plate.
a little bit off. 1-2 pitch. Hit on the line to left. Stick can't get to it. It'll be a leadoff single for Gulick here at the top of the ninth. And that'll bring up the number 5 hitter in the Shocker lineup, Joey Jackson, who's hitless in a couple of trips.
Gulick does a great job behind in the count, just trying to get the bat on the ball in a defensive hitting position. He took it the other way.
7th hit of the ball game for the Shockers, and both teams are even in that category, but the Jays have 6 runs. Both teams committing a pair of errors. On deck for the Shockers is Casey Davis. Well, the Blue Jays have pulled off 3 double plays so far today, as that's a called strike. And they get another one here, that'd be a big one. This could be tough. Shortstop, they're going to go to first for the 1 out, and they get it. Nice heads-up decision by Kim on the run, as Gulick will go down to second base, but Jackson's out 6-3, and there's the first out of the inning, and that's what you want. In this situation, you just want to get an out.
Yeah, the experience, certainly not a double play ball. Maybe a little bit right there, he thought about it, but he gave up and went right over to first to get the out.
So Davis steps in with a runner down at second base and 1 out, fouls the first pitch off. Davis on the day has a hit and 3 trips. He singled in the second, hit into an inning-ending double play in the 4th, and he fouled out the third base in the 7th. There's another foul back. It's 0-2. Dan Howard, the left-hander, was throwing down in the Creighton bullpen, and now he's resumed. He had stopped for a moment. 0-2 the count. Wastes a pitch outside. On deck is Casey Blake. 5-run Creighton lead here in the top of the 9th inning with 1 out and a runner at second for Wichita State. Davis takes a big swing. Misses everything, and that's the 4th strikeout of the ball game for Fossbender. There's 2 outs now, and the Jays are 1 out away from wrapping this Missouri Valley game up.
Staying alive in the regular season title race.
Pitch just misses, ball 1. Blake hitless today, but he does have an RBI and a sacrifice fly. That drove in Wichita State's only run back in the 7th inning. Fossbender again missing outside. 2 balls, no strikes.
McCabe and Howe. McCabe at first base, Howe at third. Don't have to worry about the lines right here. Coaching staff keeping them at a regular position and back now.
Line shot to center. Myers draws a beat on it, and that's it. Shockers are out in the 9th inning. No runs, a hit, no errors. They left a runner on second base, and there's your final. Creighton 6, Wichita State 1. Terry and I'll be back to talk about this one. It's a good one.
car has finally grown up. Introducing the Volvo 850 Sports Wagon.
For a gorgeous ride and a gorgeous deal, come to Mike Gorgeous Pontiac Volvo GMC, 65th and L.
These days, cocooning, creating a nest around one's home, has become a social phenomenon due to music choice, the new music service that comes into your stereo through cable. Take a look inside as people gyrate and emote to 30 different music choices, commercial-free, from rock to classical with CD quality sound. So get wild! Have fun with music choice, cable for your stereo.
Well, we're back at Rosenblatt Stadium. Torri Pantaleon along with Terry Leahy, and the Blue Jays have come through with a big 6-1 win over Wichita State, and it delays the Shockers' hopes for a record eighth Missouri Valley regular season title. But I'll tell you, the story today has to be Brian Fossbender. You got to give credit to the infield. They did pull off 3 double plays. There are a couple of home runs hit to lead off innings for the Blue Jays. But again, Brian Fossbender, after that rough first inning, just put it all together, and he just salted it away.
Yeah, it looked real rough at the beginning. Richie Taylor starting this off. The first 3 Shockers getting on base. They are a running team. They put that pressure with that kind of a running game, with that kind of a speed. They'll scratch for runs, and it looked real bad for Fossbender, but he settled down and had excellent control the rest of the way. A great mixture of pitches, great locations all the way, and that certainly did the job for Jack Dom's Blue Jays as they look to the closing game in this series, which is tomorrow afternoon at the Creighton U Sports Complex on the campus.
You know, we talk about it in a game like this, and I think we both agree that first inning where they got out of with no runs scored after Wichita State loaded the bases with no outs, that was the motivator. You talked about that in between the halves of the first inning, and then after that it just seemed that he got into his rhythm. Fossbender did, and you've got to give credit all the way around that those 3 double plays, those 2 home runs, some good base running decisions, and a lot of aggressiveness.
If you're Creighton coach Jack Dom and his assistants, you have to think, Brian, just keep that ball low, get some ground balls around this natural turf here. We have a great double play combination in Kim and Dunlap, Tyson Kim at shortstop, but John Dunlap at second base, and they were able to do that, to keep the ball on the ground and just turn it over to those vacuum cleaners. That's an experienced middle infield for the Creighton Blue Jays. And they certainly did the job in this game. And when you start seeing that ball going down on the ground like that, you have to have a lot of confidence when you have a double play combination like that. Pitcher's best friend, Torri, that DP.
That's right. There's no question. You can't deny that. Now the Blue Jays have now moved to 12-5 in the conference. They're 26-23 overall. Yeah, I know overall people look at that and say, well, they're only 3 games over 500 and they've played almost 50 games. But right now the conference thing is important because you're looking at postseason play, and they've really been able to put it together. And I think a game like this against a team like Wichita State, and everybody in Creighton baseball points to these games because Wichita State is the barometer in the Missouri Valley, if not nationally in a lot of situations. How important would a game like today be for a team like Creighton?
I think the Creighton baseball program, a lot like as an example, Digger Phelps at Notre Dame as a basketball coach. Early on in building the basketball program at Notre Dame, he measured his success against John Wooden's UCLA Bruins and the rivalry they had. I think you're looking at the Creighton baseball team, this program from Henry through Todd Wenberg and now the Jack Dom era, they measure themselves the same way against Wichita State. It's a great rivalry, a great ball game, and it's great to be here at the home of the College World Series with it.
Well, it's good to be doing a ball game with you again,
That's
Terry.
right,
It's been a while since we've been up in the press box. We'd like to thank Cox Cable and O2 TV for that opportunity. Hope you enjoyed the ball game. Once again, Creighton beats Wichita State 6-1. They play again tomorrow afternoon over at the Creighton Complex, so make sure you get out there and support the Blue Jays. I'm Torri Pantaleon for Terry Leahy and everybody on the Cox Cable O2 TV production crew. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you someplace where there's a ball game. Bye-bye, everybody.